as you can see, the car is high up in the air, and that's because we're using a special kind of jacking system called the Auto Lift 3000. My dad bought it for me a little while ago, which is really, really nice of him, and it's definitely got the car up in the air a lot higher than we normally have it. My goal for this video is basically to get the subframe out of the car, and then in future videos we're going to be replacing the bushings in the subframe and painting it up, making it look nice, treating the underside of the car with like anti-rust paint and stuff, and then putting it all back again. And so there'll probably be a few videos on this job. I'm going to get as much as I can done today, but it'll probably be over multiple days, and JD will probably join when he can as well. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do to start with is undo the half shaft bolts going into the diff. I don't know how tight these bolts are, but I got this massive 750mm breaker bar from Super Cheap Auto, which is super exciting. It means that every time we come across a rusty bolt, there will be less bad words and more unbolting. I mean, look at the size difference. This is what we used to use, and now we've got this bad boy. Obviously it won't reach everywhere, but I'm super excited about not having to deal with so much nonsense. One tip while you're doing this is to have the handbrake up when you're cracking all the bolts with the breaker bar, and once they're all cracked loose, then you can put down the handbrake, rotate the wheel, and you can access all of your half shaft bolts a lot easier and just undo them with a ratchet. We've removed the half shafts out of the diff, which is awesome, and one thing I forgot to mention is you will need to remove the exhaust and a few other bits and pieces if you're doing this job on a working running car. Mine isn't. There's a whole lot of things missing already, so it makes it a little bit easier for me because there's less to take off. Like, you will have to take off the drive shaft later down the line and a few other bits and pieces. Now we're going to move on to taking off the wheels so that then we can unbolt the hubs. Honestly though, look how big this thing is. It's massive. Like, what the heck? This is going to be easy. One finger, one finger. Oh my goodness! I promise you, I did not loosen those. I did not. That was incredible. I don't know, maybe that one was loose, but one finger. Nah, it's easy. It's easy. It's easy. These are all tight. That's amazing. Get yourself one of these, honestly. Now that we've got the wheel off, we got to get that guy undone. That's 30mm, and it looks very rusty, so it's gonna be interesting. See how this goes. Oh, she's tight. Been having a real struggle getting these off. They're so seized in there, so I'm gonna leave that one for today and hopefully get a blowtorch or something to heat it up real nice and then try and get those off, because I really don't want to strip them. The bro Ruben's here. What's up, player? Yeah. And so we're gonna carry on with some of the rest of the stuff. There's still quite a bit to do. So obviously the shocks, the springs, sway bars need to come out, and the brake lines. We're going to do that and then see how we go with that. Shocks are real simple. There's one bolt on the bottom and two on the top. Shocks are undone at the bottom. I'll undo them at the top later. And now we are going to undo the sway bar, which is here. There's one bolt on the bottom here, and then it just clips into the top. So once you undo that, it just clips out. And then there's a bolt here with the sway bar end links, and same on the other side, and it all should come loose. Sway bar's all loose, and because we undid the shocks, we can literally just push this down, and then you can pull the spring right out, and that gives you way more room to wiggle this out if you haven't got the diff out yet. If you're taking the diff out, well, it's a bit easier, but there you go. Got that sway bar out with Ruben's help, and we wiggled it around the diff, and basically I want to keep the handbrake cable connected so that we can have a go at getting the nuts off on the hub later on down the line when I have a blowtorch. So in the meantime, I'm just going to pull out these brake lines here, the hydraulic lines, and get that all sorted, and then probably going to call it for today and come back another day. out. The half shafts were a real mission to get out because of that nut on the end there was absolutely seized on, and every time I tried to crack it with the breaker bar, it just started to strip, and I was like, I can't go any further, otherwise I'm not going to get it off at all. So I ended up using a propane torch, as you saw in the video, and an impact gun connected to a compressor. This whipped it off really nicely, and now that the half shaft's out, I can move on to the next thing, which is taking out the brakes. So I'm going to take out the calipers and the discs, and then we're going to move on to taking out the diff. Once those are out, I'm pretty sure I'm ready to drop the subframe. There might be a couple of things I've missed, but we'll come to that bridge when we cross it.
Look, it's Bradley. Bradley's back.
Hey again.
Those who have been watching for a very long time will remember our good friend Bradley.
Yep.
And he's going to give me a hand.
Working on the E30.
No news. I disconnected the brake cable from this side underneath the subframe because it was just easier to crack than the one over there, and it should come up nicely, otherwise I'll tackle that one later. Bradley is just getting prepped to take the caliper off, which is just two 17mm bolts. Oh, you've done it. Oh, he's taking one off. Two 17mm bolts behind the caliper there.
I'm just taking the shock out of the way.
Oh, and he's also going to take the shock out of the way because he's a lot taller than me, so he can reach the top.
After he's taken the caliper off, he's going to go ahead, pop out this Allen key screw here, and then the brake rotor should just pop right off, and then we'll move on to taking the handbrake assembly apart. We managed to get the brake line out on the top. We actually decided to do that because it would be easier to access the bolts on the back of the caliper, and we did it without stripping it, which is really nice because they were quite tight. So taking the caliper off, and then we'll move on to the rotors.
Yay! Wow, that's tiny.
It is quite small.
Very small.
Oh, here we go. Now I'm going to show you how to take the brake screws out and all of this, and then the handbrake cable. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab the spring over here. You want to be able to pull that out, and they are quite tight. There's a lot of tension on them, so you want some vice grips, and you want to adjust those so they fit quite nicely to one end of the spring. Clamp it on, and you just want to pull it till it comes out. Oh gosh, I might move the camera because I'm going to hit it off the tripod. There we go, that's out, and so you can literally, sorry about that guys, just knocked you over a little bit. With a bit of fiddling, you should be able to pull that right out. There we go, just like that. And there's another one on the bottom, so you're going to do the same on the bottom, and then we'll move on to the next step.
The next step is loosening up these brake shoes, and you'll see a little Allen key bolt right there holding each brake shoe in. There's one on this side and one on the other. All you need to do though is you need to turn these a quarter turn, and it should pop out. Might need a little bit of encouragement, but if you can see on the back there, that's the other side of the Allen key. It's like a little notch, and it's just held in because it's got like a little flared end on it. So you just need to turn it a quarter turn, and then it should pop right out the hole. There we go. Now the brake assembly's out, you just want to do one more thing to pull out the handbrake cable, and that is down here at the bottom of the hub assembly. Basically, there's a little pin here, and this piece up here is just going to slide out that way. It's going to slide right off this pin. All you need to do is give it a bit of encouragement, get a flat head in there if you need to, and it should just wiggle right out. These cars are very old, and sometimes things just don't want to slide out, so that's all good. You just got to keep prying away, and eventually it will come out. Once you've pulled that out, you just got to wiggle it around until this piece comes right off, and then the last piece to get the handbrake cable out is this right here. Now there's a little pin, another little pin in there. Basically, you just want to push that out. Just get a little screwdriver and push it out whichever way comes out first. Just like that. Give it a bit of a wiggle, do what you need to do. And now on the back of the hub, if we move over to our handbrake cable, it's just gonna pull right out, just like that. And the diff is being disconnected from the drive shaft already, so those bolts are done. All we have to do is undo that mounting bolt there, and there's one right there, and same on the other side, and there's also 2 more up on the top of the diff. So 5 bolts in total, and the whole diff should drop out quite nicely. There's definitely so many bonuses to having your car this high off the ground. However, even our jack that goes really high can't quite make it. We must be, because this does over 1/2 meter in the air, which is really good for a low profile jack, but we must be even higher than that. So we've put a couple of blocks under there just to support it. We've taken out the rear bolt, and now we're taking out the other bolts. So I'll show you. There's one here, and then there's another one up there, and there's the same on the other side, and once those are out, the diff will come out. Look at that! It's out. Wonderful.
Primo.
Now the subframe can come out, which is super, uber exciting.
That's more heavy than I thought.
Bradley's a strong man. Pick it up. Pick it
Don't
up.
film that.
Pick it up.
Bro, it's been a long day and I didn't think it was going to be that heavy.
Pick it up. You got it.
I can pick it up. I
yeah?
wasn't expecting it to be that heavy.
The diff is out, so essentially there's only 2 bolts as far as we can tell. One there, and then another one on the other side. So we undo those, and I think everything should come out. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. It looks like we need to undo those 2 little ones first to take this little bracket off. Well, to undo it there, and then we can take off the big ones. So we're gonna do that now. We're gonna pull it out, and it's gonna be awesome.
Tell you what, there is nothing better than a coffee and having the whole day to work on the E30. Let's go! I have been away for a little while and Nathan has literally left every single bit of tool that you could think of on the floor and hasn't done any bit of a tidy up. So
Wow.
I don't really know what to say to all that.
Good work, bro.
But yeah, here we go. We're ready to get into it.
So I've had an absolute time trying to get this bolt out. I ended up drilling a hole in it to use an easy out to try and twist it out. That didn't work. It's in there too tight. So I drilled all the way through it. That didn't work. So we're gonna attempt to try and cut off the bolt from the other side. But that's the petrol tank right there. It is empty. I emptied it like a year ago. So I'm hoping there's nothing left in it. But just to be safe, we're gonna try just do it really slowly and probably cover it with something if we can, so that no sparks fly up and it goes boom. Oh, you're a genius! High five! We did it! Yes!
So,
Oh, and I didn't cut into my car and it didn't blow up. Amazing.
that's it. We have everything loose, ready to go. We got 2 bolts to undo, and that will drop the whole subframe. We got the jack underneath the car supporting the whole subframe. So once we undo those 2 bolts, we'll be able to get it out. Nathan, let's go. Ready?
Here it is. That bolt needs to be undone, and so does that one. And this whole subframe will be able to pop right up.
I'll be lying if I said I didn't use any of this.
You got it.
How good is that? It's actually coming off so easy.
It's actually stripped.
No, it's not.
As we undid that bolt, that bracket pulled away quite nicely, which is really cool. So that should just come off. But on the other side, we can see that that bracket, where is it? I'm zoomed in. There it is. That needs to be pulled in that way, so it can clear the car as we drop the subframe. So Nathan's just gonna quickly try and pry something in there. There we go. Very good, Nathan. Very good. Now undo that bolt and she'll be ready to be dropped down, bro. Very good, Nathan.
So is that us, bro?
That's us, bro.
Is that ready to come out?
That's ready to come out, Nathan.
How good?
Let's do it.
Let's drop the subframe. You ready?
Yep.
Coming down.
A little bit.
I'm so glad I was not underneath the car. Oh wow.
Is that recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is you actually don't need jack stands at all. Just don't be underneath the car when you do it. The subframe is out. It is out of the car and it came down with a crash, but it's out.
It came out, Nathan, and well, that's it. We're all finished. That's how to take on your subframe.
That's amazing.
Or not. And there it is. We are so excited to have been working on the E30 again. And well, when I say we, Nathan did most of the work. I just tagged along for the last bit. But
Slacker.
Your subframe is out. How exciting!
My earmuffs. So that's fantastic. I hope this video helps some of you guys who are pulling out their subframes in their E30s.
That's really heavy.
If you got any questions, make sure you chuck them in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer those.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's really good because now I can paint the subframe, I can paint the underside of the car, and replace all the bushes, and when it goes back into the car, it's gonna handle amazingly.
You should paint it orange, Nathan. I think that's gonna be very good for the subframe.
No. Black is good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the front subframe of the car and make sure that's all removed so then we can start treating the underside of the car with rust protection paint. But that's the end of this video. We're going to do that in a separate video and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so exciting, Nathan. Well, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, hit that sub button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace out.